I need to confess something. Lately, I've found it almost impossible to read a book for more than 10 minutes. My mind just wanders. I'll be watching a movie and halfway through, I'll get this uncontrollable urge to just check my phone for absolutely no reason. It feels like my brain is turning into a digital mush. And if you've ever felt that same relentlessness and that same inability to just think, then this video is for you. Because what if that endless scrolling and those meme-filled chats aren't just harmless fun? What if they're the first signs your brain is, for the lack of a better term, rotting? We're going to go through the 10 signs that this is happening, and most importantly, what you can do about it. First of all, let's be clear. Brain rot isn't an official medical diagnosis. You won't get a prescription for it. It's an internet term that exploded in popularity, so much so that it was voted Oxford's Word of the Year, if you believe it. It perfectly describes a feeling we've all started to recognize. A sense of mental decline from consuming too much low-quality, trivial, and fast-paced digital content. Think of it like this. Your brain is a muscle. If you only ever do one easy, repetitive exercise, other parts of that muscle will get weaker. The same thing happens when we endlessly scroll. Our brains are being rewired, and not always for the better. But here's the good news. The very thing that gets us into this mess, a concept called neuroplasticity, is also our way out. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt. It works both ways. Just as your brain can adapt to distraction, it can be retrained for focus. So as we go through these signs, don't despair. For every problem, there's a solution. Let's start with the most obvious sign. You can't get through a 10-minute video without skipping ahead. A single article feels like a novel. If this sounds familiar, you're likely experiencing the primary symptom of this digital age funk, a shrinking attention span. It's not just a feeling. Research from information scientist Gloria Mark is pretty sobering here. Her studies found that in 2004, people typically focused on a single screen for about 2.5 minutes, but by 2016, that number had plummeted to just 47 seconds. That's like a 3 times decrease. The agitation? What's happening here? Short-form content platforms are like slot machines for your brain, designed to deliver rapid, unpredictable rewards that stimulates the dopamine in your brain. Each new video is a little pull of that lever, triggering a small burst of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. Your brain gets hooked on these quick, easy hits, and over time, this trains it to crave constant novelty, making slow or more demanding tasks, like reading a book, to feel boring. It's like your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for sustained focus, is being trained to be lazy. If you want to solve this, you have to train your focus like a muscle. Try the Pomodoro technique. Set a timer for 25 minutes and dedicate yourself to a single task. No phone, no other tabs, no notifications, and when the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break. This isn't about suddenly reading for hours, it's about proving to your brain that it can still focus 25-minute block at a time. The second sign here is suffering from a mental fog. Say you walk into a room and completely forget why you're there. You struggle to find the right word even though it's on the tip of your tongue. You just feel mentally sluggish and disconnected. Even on a full night's sleep, this brain fog can be a major symptom of digital overload. Constant digital stimulation bombards your brain with information. Switching between apps, notifications, and endless feeds creates what neurologists call cognitive overload. Your brain never even gets a chance to truly rest and process things properly. This constant state of high alert leads to mental exhaustion, and studies show this can impact your working memory and problem-solving abilities. You're not losing your mind, you're just running its battery down to zero every single day. To fix this, you might try embracing boredom. Seriously, schedule a no input time into your day. This could be something as simple as a 15-minute walk without headphones, just sitting with your thoughts or staring out a window. Boredom isn't a void, it's a space where your brain can recharge and rebuild. It's crucial for memory consolidation, self-reflection, and creativity. The third sign we're going to talk about is your humor becoming weird and absurd. You might find yourself laughing at memes that make literally no sense to an outsider, or your online chats are filled with bizarre inside jokes and internet slang like skibbity or phantom tax. Meanwhile, traditional jokes and witty stories just feel slow. This isn't a new sense of humor, it's about the fragmentation of communication. Brain rot? This humor is often chaotic, random, and completely context-free. Mirroring the experience of scrolling through a disjointed feed, This reflects a brain that's getting more comfortable with fragmented bits of information than with coherent stories. This can start to bleed into your real-world interactions, making it harder to engage in deeper and more nuanced conversations. If you find yourself suffering from this, you might try to curate your content feed. Unfollow accounts that churn out low-quality, nonsensical content. Instead, actively seek out and follow creators who make longer and more thoughtful videos, podcasts, or articles. Start treating your media diet like your food diet. Prioritize nourishing, high-quality content over digital junk food. The fourth sign we're going to talk about is passively consuming more than you create. When was the last time you even worked on a hobby or wrote something just for fun, or even tried to learn a new skill? Now, when was the last time you spent an hour just scrolling? For many of us, myself including, I'm guilty enough to admit, there's a huge imbalance. We become professional consumers of content, not producers in our own lives. This dopamine loop that we've talked about makes passive consumption incredibly easy and rewarding. Creating something, writing, or even just planning a project requires effort, focus, and a risk of failure. Your brain, having been conditioned by easy dopamine hits, will naturally resist this harder path. This leads to a loss of motivation for the very hobbies and activities that once brought you joy. Start incredibly small to break the resistance. Don't set a goal to learn guitar. Instead, set a goal to pick up the guitar and play one chord. Don't decide to write a novel, decide to write one sentence. The point is to break the inertia of consumption and get a tiny taste of the deep satisfaction that only comes from certain creation. Our fifth sign that we're going to talk about is emotional desensitization. You might see a tragic news story, a hilarious meme, and a video of a cute puppy all within a 30-second scroll. Your emotional response to each is a flat, fleeting flicker. Nothing really sticks. This is emotional desensitization. Social media flattens the emotional landscape. The sheer volume and variety of content delivered at a relentless pace can overwhelm your brain's capacity to process emotions deeply. This emotional whiplash can make you feel detached, not just from online content, but from your own life and the emotions of the people around you, but potentially leading to a decreased empathy. Practice mindfulness. This doesn't mean you have to sit cross-legged for an hour. Mindfulness is simply paying full attention to the present moment. When you feel an emotion, good or bad, take 30 seconds to just sit with it. Name the feeling. Where do you feel it in your body? Don't judge it or try to scroll away from it. This simple act retrains your brain to engage with your emotions more deeply. If you're still watching, it means this is likely resonating with you. It also means you successfully fought off the urge to scroll away, which is a win. If you're getting value from this and want to keep learning how to reclaim your focus and mental clarity, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're in this together. Our sixth line here is low motivation. That feeling of, I should do something, followed immediately by, but I just don't feel like it, is becoming your default state. Hobbies feel like chores, work feels impossible, and even hanging out with friends seems like too much effort. When your brain gets used to the effortless, high-reward stimulation of the internet, real life can start to feel dull in comparison. Why would your brain want to expend the energy to clean your apartment when it could get a guaranteed dopamine hit from an app? This isn't a character flaw, it's about how your brain's reward system is being rewired. Everyday activities start to feel less appealing. Have you and your friends ever gone out and sat in a group circle only for everyone to be on their phone scrolling TikTok? That's part of this problem. It's easy to engage in this digital content rather than real life. You can use a technique known as temptation bundling. Pair an activity you should do with one you want to do. For example, only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're cleaning or exercising. This bundles the effortful task with an anticipated reward, giving your brain that motivational push it needs. Our seventh sign here is irritability and mood swings. You may find yourself getting angry at small inconveniences. Your patience is shot and you feel overwhelmed and anxious for no clear reason. Digital fatigue directly impacts your brain's ability to regulate emotions. The constant state of overstimulation puts your nervous system on edge. And on top of that, the blue light from screens, especially late at night, disrupts your body's production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. And as we all know, poor sleep is directly linked to increased irritability, anxiety, and a tough time regulating your mood. Especially for the teens, this can be a major problem. Staying on your phone late into the night is incredibly rewarding to the brain's dopamine center, but it is terrible for your health in the morning. You might want to try implementing a strict digital sunset. Set an alarm for 1 hour before you plan to sleep, and when that alarm goes off, All screens turn off, no exceptions. Use this final hour to do something relaxing and analog. You might try reading a physical book, not one online, stretch, journal, or even just talk with a loved one. Protecting your sleep is one of the most important things you can do for your mental health. For our 8th sign, we're going to talk about conversations being full of internet references. You might try to explain a funny situation to a friend, but the only way you can describe it is by referencing a meme they may or may not even see. Your vocabulary is peppered with online slang that's meaningless to anyone who isn't chronically online. This is a subtle but very important sign. Our main social and cultural inputs come from a homogenized online world. Our unique personality and way of speaking can start to erode. We begin to speak the language of the algorithm, replacing original thought with recycled content. It can signal a detachment from the physical world and the shared real-life culture around you. Engage in real-world conversations. Make it a point to go have a phone-free meal with a friend or family member. Go to a local event, a farmer's market, or a museum. Actively seek out experiences that can't be condensed into a 15-second video, and then challenge yourself to describe them without relying on internet shorthand. Our 9th sign is memory problems. If you can't remember the details of an article you just read, you forgot appointments or plans, your short-term memory feels like a sieve. Our brains are incredibly efficient, sometimes to a fault. When we know information is easily accessible on Google, our brain doesn't always put in the effort to store it internally. This phenomenon is known as the Google effect or digital amnesia. We aren't training our brains to remember facts, but rather to remember where to find them. Over time, this means that we aren't building the strong neural pathways associated with memory. While the science is still developing, some studies on groups with very high screen time have even suggested a link to changes in brain structure, like the volume of gray matter in key areas of memory. Challenge your brain. Instead of immediately looking up a question, spend 2 minutes trying to recall the answer. On your own, try to navigate to a new place using your memory instead of just following GPS. Do puzzles, learn a new language, even pick up a musical instrument. These activities build cognitive reserve and strengthen the neural pathways that support memory. For our 10th and final sign, it's going to be a detachment of reality. If the real world starts to feel slow, boring, or low resolution compared to a hyper-stimulating and perfectly curated online world, you might feel a sense of loneliness or alienation even when you're surrounded by people. Spending too much time in the digital world can create a profound sense of disconnection from your physical reality. Social media platforms in particular can distort our perception of normal life, leading to feelings of inadequacy and the dreaded fear of missing out, also known as FOMO. This constant comparison to a curated reality can leave us feeling like our own lives aren't even enough, fostering a cycle of anxiety and depression. Try scheduling a weekly digital detox. Start with just a few hours, turn off your phone and put it in another room. Spend that time fully engaged in the physical world. Go for a hike, cook a complex meal, or even work on a project with your hands. The goal is to remind your brain of the rich and sensory experiences of living in the real world. This helps reset your baseline for stimulation and makes you appreciate the quiet, uncurated moments of everyday life. So, if you've seen yourself in some, or maybe all, of these signs, I want you to take a deep breath. You are not broken, and your brain is not permanently rotted. What you're feeling is a predictable response to a totally unprecedented environment. Remember this, neuroplasty works in both ways. The same brain that adapted to this constant distraction of the digital world is more than capable of adapting back to focus, clarity, and deep engagement. It's a muscle that you can retrain. You don't need to throw your phone in the ocean. The solution isn't to reject technology, but to use it with intention. It starts with one small change, just one. Pick one solution from this video that feels manageable and try committing to it for just a week. Maybe it's the digital sunset, or maybe it's a 15-minute walk without your phone. Start there, reclaim your focus, reclaim your time, and reclaim your mind. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. If you want to continue this journey of taking back control from the algorithm, make sure you're subscribed. In our next video, we'll talk you through how to create a digital nutrition plan that actually works. You won't want to miss it. See you then.